Hello, I'm FX Toycat, and Wednesday is snapshot and preview day, and this brand new snapshot brings in something I guarantee no one was expecting, because it's like a fire charge but for wind, effectively allowing you to be a breeze at incredible distances if you want to. But this item is incredible, and it's so exciting that I need to start this video by showing you 3 incredible things it can do. First of all, you can actually avoid full damage by launching one of these before you hit the ground. Second of all, you can actually launch up great distances using this, greater than you could do even with a leaping potion. That's really fun, but you can also use this to do parkour that was previously impossible. Here is a gap you cannot bridge without an ender pearl, a horse, or some form of like speed potion, but you can do so using a wind charge very easily by simply throwing it just before you otherwise would hit the ground. That is really fun, and that is why the wind charge is so exciting. I have a lot more I need to show you about it, but first I need to mention they've also confirmed they finished the armadillo. They're working on the wolf, not the wolf armor, but the wolf, and there's also a vault change. All very exciting news. I'll have the full analysis as always, but first things first, let's share with a very big one, because I think we need to talk at least a little bit about the wind charge. So let's go now to the vaults. Okay, let's all agree to pretend that transition went perfectly, as I now mention that these are the equivalent of breeze rods, these brand new wind charges, because you find them when you kill breezes. The dreams of having some equivalent of a bright blaze rod therefore are gone, but in their place you get 4 to 6 of these wind charges when you kill a breeze. These are quite the annoying mob to kill, but now instead of getting nothing for doing so, or potentially a trowel key is perhaps your best reward, now you can instead enjoy a brand new item. And again, you can kind of see how this fight is one that is conducive to getting these wind charges, because using these will be useful for the trowel chambers. Forever now, I've kind of wondered why there are these random platforms around the trowel chambers. Maybe you have as well. Indeed, some of the vaults are even really high up in a way that basically require you to mine, but actually they're not asking you to mine. Instead, they're requiring you to use the wind charges, because now you can take the trowel keys, or I guess they're glowberries, and you can put them in these vaults which are on these platforms. And that is indeed how the breeze can use them as well. There is a verticality to the combat here you won't find anywhere else in Minecraft, and I actually kind of love that. Getting these wind charges is kind of rare, but they're so useful by themselves. So in addition to the 3 things I showed you earlier on, you can see how these would be incredibly handy for getting around a trowel chamber when you are under threat from various mobs. If there's a zombie about to get you, just jump off and use it to save the full damage, or use it to not save the full damage. If you want to get up to avoid, say, a random dungeon that has spawned in your trowel chamber, then you can do exactly the same if you can time it right. I do have to say, it takes a lot of skill to actually use these correctly, but if you can do so, it is so incredibly fun. There we go. Okay, up here we go. It is so incredibly fun to be able to escape mobs on that basis, and I have to say, people who are going to be doing PvP will also really like it. So do keep in mind that there is a half-second cooldown after each use. Do keep in mind they can be fired from a dispenser, like a fire charge, and yeah, they're kind of secondary purpose, or I'm sure their actual primary purpose for people who aren't like me and enjoy doing this. Their main purpose is to allow you to effectively be a breeze yourself. Do you see a zombie and you desperately want to get him away from you? Well, all you gotta do is find him and then, okay, come get me. No, don't come get me. I'm gonna blast you away. These are exactly the same as throwing a breezes, except they have about a 10% additional charge to them, meaning that farming the breeze is always going to be less effective than simply using the wind charges that you get from it. And that is something that really gets me thinking, are people going to want to farm the mob in this structure specifically for that reason? And it ultimately comes down to, this is a very rare item. If you get 4 to 6 per breeze and you get 2 breezes per trowel spawner, that still means that ultimately an entire trowel chamber might give you 30, 40, 50 of these per half-hour period on which the trowel chambers cool down, and that ultimately isn't actually very good, or makes them a very rare and valuable resource. There is not a mob in Minecraft which can only be fought on such a short time span, besides maybe the Wither, and even then with the right farms, people could probably do so faster than every 30 minutes, which makes this a very intriguing item with a very intriguing set of functions. By the way, just for the last couple of things that we mentioned this can do but haven't shown off yet, one of them is it will prevent full full damage, but not in the way that I've been showing you. I mean, it literally will, if you were to launch yourself up, prevent full damage from anywhere below that point. So even if I launch myself 8 blocks in the air, I won't take any damage because it only counts full damage from where you collided with the wind charge, which is pretty useful in my opinion. It means you can launch up with no fears of terrible things happening in exchange. And the other thing I haven't mentioned is right over here, as you can see. Let's use, oh god, should not have shown up to this place. Not expecting some poison arrows. By the way, it is getting closer and closer to the release of these things, and I really am starting to believe that they might just leave the poison arrow skeleton as a full-on mob in its own right. Like, well, it's technically doing the job. It is. Oh god, let's look. You know, actually, let's take a page from the book of the game. Let's just launch these guys away. I don't want to deal with them. I instead would like to show you something fun, which is that obviously once I launch one of these and activate the bucket away, and then once I put some of these in there, I can launch these using a dispenser. And indeed, so too could a breeze, or I guess actually, yeah, a breeze could launch the breeze rods if you wanted to. Do you want to do that? Probably not, but it's fun that you can, right? Speaking of fun, I do have to say, every time I go into one of these rooms in the trial chambers, I realize something which probably should be more common knowledge at this point, which is that the trial chambers that we saw were very cleverly designed for what Minecraft had at the time, but what I think is really, really smart about these ones are the fact that, oh look, all of my skeletons are slowly becoming strays from the snow. But something that's really, really clever about the design is they basically built it with these ideas in mind for the future. So there's a lot of verticality in this trial chamber, basically to encourage you to experiment with the wind charge. If you don't have a wind charge and you get trapped down there with all the poisonous skeletons, you're gonna have a bad time. So getting out of there can actually involve a lot of skill. I love when Minecraft adds something to the game, which on the surface is fun. Like as an 8-year-old, you could have a lot of fun just launching these at you know, actually that's apologies to 8-year-olds. As a 3-year-old, you could have fun just launching these at mobs and watching them go flying like TNT. However, it's also very fun if you want to improve your Minecraft skill and use these to get yourself in and out of bad situations. You can launch yourself away from things if you really want to. This is a kind of skillful jump, but to launch backwards and towards a direction is something you can do, but I love the different possibilities that you have for these, and it's something I really want to play around with more. Genuinely, I've not seen a mechanic in a while that makes me want to go, yeah, I bet I could do some crazy stuff with this if I just practice for long enough, and that is the dream with the wind charge. There are other features in this snapshot. There's also a brand new preview which came out this week. The preview does not have wind charges and so isn't too exciting. It does fix some bugs and brings us closer towards the eventual dream, you know, of having I guess the eventual goal of having armadillos come to the base game. Right now, Minecraft is working on those a lot more, but not directly. The armadillo is now more or less finished. They have confirmed they made these changes to it, but at the same time, they said, yeah, we are done with the armadillo. Now we'll be making changes to the wolf and presumably the wolf armor, which is kind of exciting. Speaking of kind of exciting, let me show you something fun, which is the change to the vault. So a big criticism that I've had, and presumably many others, is that the trial spawner has looked a lot like the vault. Indeed, previously, the only way I could really tell is one of them has a mob spinning around in it, and one of them does not. But now you can definitely tell, because the vault, if we can find one in here, is this a vault? It's not a vault. I can tell immediately. The vault now has an interesting change to make it more distinguishable. Also, I'm going to go up here. This is one of my favorite little rooms. There we go. The vault is distinguishable by this fun new, I guess, gray top that you can see up here. And that is very useful because now at a glance, you can tell what is a vault and what is a trial spawner. By the way, got me some new wind charges. I think you'll find. I am not good at Java combat. I don't know if that's clear to everyone. But let's now open the vault and show you that it is still otherwise the same as last week. Wow, iron horse armor and some enchanted books. That is great. I do think they'll probably add the wind charge to these later if they get the reaction they're hoping for, and so that could be another way to get wind charges, but yeah, for now, not too exciting. The other thing that's exciting is to know that wolves are going to be getting some changes. Yes, that's right, you heard correctly. Tamed wolves are getting a big buff. They will now have 40 health points or 20 hearts instead of 20 health points / 10 hearts, which is what they had before. A doubling of their health combined with the fact that feeding a wolf now heals twice as many health points is an insane combination. You might be thinking, how did you not lead with this, Toy Cat? And the answer is because they'll also no longer take half of the damage from most environmental sources like they used to. This is something Mojang admits that in most cases will therefore make no difference given the health boost boost, they are taking double as much damage, but having double as much health and taking double as much healing, and so most sources will not have any effect except for damage from players and arrows, which previously were not halved, and so will stay at their previous damage values. In other words, wolves are getting a little bit better at PvP. It's likely they'll be making some more changes because they do explicitly say that the armadillo work is done. They're switching their attention to the wolf armor. I'm excited to see where that goes, but yeah, for now, just know that the armadillos are in a good place, and they are also entirely finished to come out with 1.20.5 and indeed 1.20.70 or 1.20.80 for Minecraft Bedrock, which is likely going to be in a couple of months now. But that's enough for the actual news. Let's dive into the analysis of what this actually means for the game. This snapshot is a good example of how very few features can result in a good update regardless, and I think this is what separates Mojang from modders. Modders are willing to throw 100 features at the wall and maybe you find 20 of them cool. However, Mojang has to consider that every feature needs to fit in the game somewhere, and so maybe they release a great new feature for redstone, and maybe they nerf it later, but that's a whole separate point. But maybe they can make a great new feature for redstone or for building. These are the sorts of things that they're trying to do in every single update, and the wind charge, in my opinion, is a great example of a feature that just feels so good. It feels like it fits naturally in the game. It's not, no one's going to say this is modded Minecraft, but yet it allows you to do so many fun things, and within just the first, few hours of the snapshot being out, it's already being proven that you can climb near infinitely. It's being proven that you could do whole sorts of fun new versions of parkour, and that is great for map making creativity and personal creativity, which is the absolute goal of these features if I was in charge at the very least, something I'm a big fan of. So I think when looking at the trial chambers, they are fun enough in their current state, but I'm excited if, I used to be so worried, like, really, what if the trial chamber is everything else in this snapshot? Everything in this update, that's all it's going to tie into. But if every single other new little tidbit they add is also this exciting, maybe we needn't be so worried. Maybe if they've got plans like this for the wolf armor, maybe actually Mojang has nailed it. At least for this week, I can say this is the most fun I've had of a snapshot in a very long time, and this is the spark that I think that separates a bland feature from one that makes people go, okay, yeah, even if I didn't care about everything else, I love that. And so I'm incredibly excited. I would love to know your thoughts, your comments, and if you have any questions for Q&A Saturday, leave them down below because we'll be answering them as we come into this weekend. For now though, or I guess Q&A Sunday as it often is nowadays. For now though, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you're having a great week. We had 1.20.60 yesterday with archaeology and all the bug fixes, and today we've got a great snapshot, so I hope the week continues to go wonderfully, and I hope that you have a happy February, because I'm going now. Bye! I've got a garlic Kiev in the oven. I'm excited. It's been forever since I had one. But yeah, I'm gonna go eat that now. Bye!